Hey friends, welcome to The Book Was Hotter, presented by Avon Books.
On this episode, we will talk about who will die, and we have a very special guest. You want to come down?
Yes.
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
It's Stacia Stark!
Yay! Welcome to The Book Was Hotter!
We're so happy to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, we're so excited to learn all about the juicy details. You left us on a cliffhanger. So much world building. There's so much to talk about. But first, I want to talk about your lore. Like, how did you start reading?
You know, I think like a lot of kids, I was just always reading, right? I was that kid sitting on the bus reading, like sitting, even in my friend group, I was like kind of that weird introvert who would be like, you know, they'd be chatting and I'd
Same.
just be like reading my little book.
Because you're really young.
Yeah. And I mean, my mum really instilled a love of reading, for sure. She
Go,
was
Mum.
reading to me a lot as a kid. And
Mhm.
I think that helped so much, right? And then it was really just a case of like the escapism that fiction
Yes.
provides, you know, all through high school and onward. You know, I would just really lose myself in books and just the adventure that it gives you too, you know?
Do you
Well-
remember some old favorites?
Oh gosh. I really loved this series when I was like a teenager. It was the Tomorrow series by John Marsden. Have you guys read that?
No, I read John Mathen before.
Okay. So it's he's an Australian author, and he was a high school teacher, so it's young adult.
Okay.
And basically Australia is like invaded, right? So it's kind of a war action kind of series, and it follows these kids who are living in like rural Australia, and when the invasion happens, they've gone bush, so they're camping up in the middle of nowhere. So they basically like go home and realize that this has happened, and it's all the whole series is about them like fighting back and like all of these different things that they do.
Ooh.
And Ali, the main character, was just so relatable. You know, it's young adult, and you could really tell that John, because he taught kids,
Mhm.
he really kind of understood them, you know.
Mhm.
And so she's very flawed. She makes a lot of mistakes, and I just remember when I was at high school, the books were still kind of coming out, so I would like
Yes.
haunt my high school library and
Waiting for
I was just
them,
rereading
yeah.
them. Yeah, it was so good. So I think that was the first time that I really saw a kind of young female character
Mhm.
kind of portrayed as like she's like the leader of this group essentially, right? So that I think that really stuck with me.
Wow, thank you, James, for
Yeah.
planting the seeds at a young age.
Wait, is it James? I think it's John Marsden.
John, I'm
Yeah,
so sorry,
no,
John.
but
I
I'm
take
like,
that back.
I
I
could be wrong.
apologize, John. Well, you talked about escapism, which is why I love fantasy and romantasy so much. And similarly to your reading lore, I'd love to know what started your writing lore.
So, funnily enough, my brother actually sent over a video a few months ago of me as a kid at like 8 years old, and I've created my little book with my
Yeah.
little illustrations, and I'm
Mhm.
showing it off to the camera. I've got no memory of this, but I was very much sort of writing my little stories as a kid, like a lot of authors, right?
Mhm.
And then I think I was thinking about this the other day. I think I kind of held authors on this real pedestal where I was like, what they've given me is so important. It didn't really occur to me for a really long time that I could actually do it as a career. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I think I was, I would write my crappy first draft and you compare it to these incredible New York Times best-selling books. And so I think I really let that get in my head where I was just writing for me for a really long
Yeah.
time. And then it wasn't until I listened to a podcast in my late 20s about self-publishing.
Wow.
And I remember the host talking about how, you can have a pen name, you can test the market, you
Mhm.
can see if you have writing chops,
Yeah.
essentially, right? And that takes a lot of the risk out because if you fail, you don't necessarily fail as publicly if you are just kind of getting started. And it gives you that sort of initial feedback as
Mhm.
to like if people want to read what you've got to write. And so I think that for a lot of authors, self-publishing really kind of gave us the permission we needed to get started.
That is so beautiful because first of all, I want to go back into you connecting with characters because of like they were so relatable, and I feel like you feel it in your
Thank
books.
you.
Totally.
On this one, like she is an eldest daughter. Like
I
we
want to
are
talk
both
about
only
that.
one.
Yeah,
So
we
we will
related
we
so hard.
will
Oh,
Like,
good.
we will talk more about that, but also like I just wanted to say that like that is incredible, that like that is what you do, you know, like I saw your Polycon, like I saw how you connect with your readers, and it's just so meaningful that it's
Thank
like
you.
all of it that has come forward. Also, what was your first self-published book?
So I published in this pen name. I published Speak of the Demon, which was urban
Oh.
fantasy romance, and so that's a 6-book series. I then did like a 3-book spin-off series to that. So I've got 9 urban fantasy romances, and it's set in Durham, North Carolina. So at the time, I was living in Raleigh. Very briefly during the pandemic with my bestie, and we would go into Durham and drive around, and I would figure out like which neighborhood the witches were going to live in and where the fae would be, and it was really
love
fun.
that.
So, and then after that, I moved into the Kingdom of Lies series, which is the 4 books, and that's more like second world fantasy.
Well, now I see, because you have so many books under your belt, like how you were able to like beautifully pull off We Who Will Die, because this is like such an intense feat for fantasy, because the
you.
world building and the magic system and everything is just like, it's so intricate, and like you can tell you marinated on it for a long time in your head, because yeah, it's a huge undertaking and you crushed it. And this is
Yeah.
coming from like a lifelong fantasy reader too. So I did want to ask kind of like a follow-up question, because you're both traditionally published now with We Who Will Die and then also self-pubbed, if you could kind of speak to your experience with both, and maybe like what was your favorite part of each of those experiences?
So I've been self-employed since I was about 23. I was a freelance copywriter. I wrote like
Wow.
B2B, like business to business content, very dry, software development companies, that kind of stuff. But because of that, I was living all over the world because I was remote. I really had to learn how to run a business, right? I had to get clients. I had to make sure that I was paying my bills. I had to, and I've got pretty severe ADHD. So, and I was very undiagnosed. So even with that, I had to sort of figure it out. And I think that really set me up quite well for self-publishing. I was able to sort of remove myself from the books, which essentially are a product. And I mean, it's sometimes that's easier said than done, but I was able to sort of take off the author hat and put on the marketing hat or the business hat. And because I've been self-employed for so long, it very much is like a control situation. I think that's one of the best things about indie is you've got full control, but at the same time, with trad, you just have this amazing team behind you that it's been very eye-opening in terms of like, I remember talking to my agent about something and she was like, they will help you with this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of been like a learning curve of like how to let go and how to
Totally.
enjoy this amazing support and this team that is so good and know what they're doing. And having like people who believe in the book and just know so much about the industry. It's amazing. It really is.
Well, I will say, like, we are constantly impressed by you guys because, like, first of all, like, the market has changed so much, right? Like, I have read self-published authors, like, for so long, like, from Kindle Unlimited and everything like that. And it was so interesting to see that, 2020 TikTok, like,
Yeah.
and, like, there's, like, somebody else was saying that, like, I also BookScan added like something where you guys could like put your books into bookstores at like around the same time. So like that again like completely changed the market of everything that everybody was doing, and like now so many indie go to trad and like they like do both at the same time.
Right.
But so that's why we have been working with so many indies coming to us, and we're like, how do you guys do everything? Like we're just so impressed, and
Yeah.
you have so much knowledge about like, and you're also with your readers, like you're so knee deep into everything that you're doing that I don't know how you even have time or hobbies or literally anything.
Sleep, eat, yeah.
Sleep, eat, or anything like that. Just it's so impressive. Talking about hobbies, I would love to know where you're like reading, watching, and listening right now.
Okay, so currently I'm reading I think it's Bonds of Hercules by Jasmine
Oh
Mars.
my God!
Yes,
So
okay.
I actually met her the other day. We share an agent, so I had dinner with them, and immediately like downloaded that book. So I'm like, that's what I'm reading.
Yeah.
And then what was it? Listening and watching.
Yes.
Okay, so watching, when I'm drafting, I'm like deep in deadline mode. I can't watch anything with any kind of stakes or like anything with any kind of
Yes.
plot that's too deep
Yeah.
because I'm just like dead
Yes.
at the end of the day. So I just binged, and I hadn't seen any of it. The summer I turned pretty. So like,
oh my
it.
god,
all
yeah,
of
that's
the
a-
series were available.
Yeah,
And it was just it's lighthearted, but it is also
it has plot. You know, it does. And
yeah, it's not like really difficult to follow, but it still gives you something,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And I'm currently listening to the audiobook of Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Ooh,
Wow, which I
such great
heard is
picks.
amazing, and be prepared to cry? Question mark.
I've got like an hour and a half left of it or something.
Oh
Oh, bring out the tissues.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, it's really fun, and like again, what a time to start the summer. I turned pretty because like
I
now
know.
you're done.
Oh yeah.
like,
I
you
know.
can-
I binged it so fast.
And like that's such an iconic love triangle, and this is another iconic
love
love triangle
it.
book, We Who Will Die. It's like I think as I've been scrolling like on TikTok and stuff of people who've had arcs and read it, like people seem genuinely torn between both love interests in a way that like I don't think I've seen a love triangle done like that in a really long time. Which is super fun because it's like bring back like Team Edward, Team Jacob,
Yeah.
Team Stefan and Damon. I did want to ask if you could pitch us We Who Will Die as if you're pitching it super casually to your best friend.
Okay, so We Who Will Die is an ancient Rome-inspired romantasy, perfect for people who love The Vampire Diaries and Gladiator. It follows my main character, Arvel, who is living in a district of Synthara called the Thorn, and she has had a very tough time of things. So, like 6 years before the book actually begins, she's lost pretty much everything that's ever mattered to her. And so when the book does begin, we see a vampire blackmail her with her brother's life into killing the emperor. So she, in order to do that, she has to go fight in the Sundering, which is like these gladiator trials. And when she gets there, she realizes that the man kind of standing in her way is the same man who broke her heart 6 years earlier and abandoned her.
Hot. Like,
Wait,
that's
there was
so
someone
juicy.
else.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on, keep going.
There's
Keep
also
going.
there's also a very unhinged character,
Yeah.
without giving too much away, who is does not want Arvel to succeed in pretty much anything, but is, you know, there's more to him than meets the eye, and he was very fun to write. I'll tell you that much.
Well, he was juicy to read. I
It
loved
was
it. I loved
to read. I was
it.
like, where is he?
Yeah.
Okay, so as we were talking, like me and Rain were talking about how incredible the world building was on this book. Like, I don't even know what I love the most. Like the world building, the characters, everything. Like, you know, like you have like the found family. Like I
Mhm.
care so much about every single person in this world. What was your inspiration? Like, what sparked the idea for this one?
So this world really has been a lot of things simmering in the background for a really long time. I did classics in high school and, you know, learned about ancient Rome, and I was always really fascinated with like the brutality of that
Mhm.
world. I'm also really fascinated by grief and people who have lost people close to them and then just have to like get up and keep moving,
Yeah.
essentially. So, you know, one of the questions I'd asked is like, what would happen if, you know, your best friend had died and you held yourself responsible, and what that would do to you and how you would kind of get up in the morning, right?
Mhm.
And what that would, how you would find love and stuff after that too. And then in fiction, our goal really is to make our characters suffer, right? So while
We're hearing it live. Like,
What book 2 and 3
I
are
know.
not just them living happy ever after?
No,
That's
like, are we gonna
crazy.
suffer more?
yeah.
It's fine.
So
We're fine.
with the vampires, I'd always kind of wanted to write vampires anyway, but they, like, specifically one of the reasons I think I wanted them in this series is, you know, Arvel is her mum was an addict. And with vampirism, you see a lot of sort of addictive behaviors around like feeding and blood and like people who want to be bitten. And so I wanted her to be kind of confronted with that, which you'll see further on in the series for sure. And then finally, the sigil marked was very much the idea of what would society look like if the amount of power you have was literally stamped onto your forehead? And what would that do when you've also got the vampires as part of this society, and what would that look like? So it really just comes from a lot of questions that I wanted to explore, and it all just kind of submit away.
I love it because it like introduced a lot of organic like social tension between these different like parties and then like different classes even within like the magic system and stuff. So yeah, it just made everything like higher stakes, higher tension, so juicy. Talking about Arvel, the main character, I related to her so much, and I knew I was going to when I opened the dedication of the book, and it was like, for the eldest daughters, is it like you are seen? Now I can't remember the exact phrasing, but I was like, this book is gonna hurt. I was like, this book, I'm gonna feel so seen and heard from this book. And I totally did, because I related to Arvel so much, and not just like as an eldest daughter, but just her being so dedicated to the people that she loves. And so I wanted to ask, what character do you relate to the most and why?
I mean, I'm an eldest daughter too.
Okay.
So
Eldest daughters
I
in the
definitely
room.
relate to Arvel in the sense of like she feels this deep responsibility. And, you know, just the idea that like she wants to make sure that everyone around her is okay. But, you know, there are a few other, I think I put myself into a lot of characters when I write. Even Maeva, like I wouldn't say I'm particularly sunshiny, but I can be a bit delulu about things. So like, you know, I think there's some of that as well. But yeah, I definitely, Arvel has been a very easy character for me to write. Her voice was just kind of in my head, which is amazing when you have to sit down and get started, you know.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time with her, and we spent a lot of time with her, and I can't wait to spend more time with her. So
have you seen that any like the readers have been gravitating towards like a certain character, or like...
So I definitely from like I try not to look at reviews too much, but I see a little bit, and a lot of people have said that they connected with Arvel, which is that's great to hear. It means I'm doing my job right.
It was like very hard because like I really love, again, we're like in a full fantasy world, you know, with vampires and like this like huge class of power, but then like also like you're like exploring grief. Like I really love that quote that is in the middle of the book, that is like grief, like loving an addict is being an addict yourself, and it's just being an addict to hope. And that I was like, whoa. And you know, like also like exploring, you know, like the different like tiers of like what it means to be powerful and stuff like that. So it was just really interesting to read.
Well, talking about all the different tiers, vampires, gods, everything, what was the research process like behind this book, just because it was such a big undertaking?
So I actually went old school with this research. I bought a ton of books on ancient Rome and gladiators, and even like what, like some of them were illustrated with like what people wore, and you know, the Colosseum. I've been to Rome. I've stood in the Colosseum a couple of times, and I remember the first time, just that like pinch me moment of standing there still was kind of like lives within me, you know. So you know, there's that firsthand experience. There's like even from as a teenager, just like picking up different things. But yeah, for this it was really, I've got all of these books. I actually list a lot of them, and at the end of the book, they're all tabbed. And I remember reading. Sometimes I would just read something that would kind of come in later. So the circus scene where the people are kind of revolting against the taxes a little bit and the emperor lashes out is based on something that I read that did happen. So there's just little things like that I really enjoyed incorporating, while also giving myself like a lot of leeway to not be insanely historically accurate, because it's ancient Rome inspired, but I definitely wanted to do my own thing.
Do like a fresh twist on it.
Yeah.
Do you remember like what was like the weirdest Google search that you had from this book?
I feel like most of it was the books. Honestly, I think like for Google it would have been something like the trying to figure out like the levels of the different guards and stuff. Like it probably wouldn't have been too weird, but I feel like I also tend to block out the worst of it.
You're like, deleted from my brain after. I don't need to worry about that anymore.
Right? Don't worry.
Not my business.
Yeah.
Well, again, like also we have such a like the love triangle.
Hmm.
I was wondering like what drew you to romantasy? Like I know like this is a genre that you love, but like what basically what made you come in?
I think for a long time, fantasy was very much male dominated,
Mm-hmm.
and we saw not just like male writers, but we saw a lot of like obviously male main characters, and when there were female characters, often they were killed off or just used as like a plot device for the males to sort of have their hero's journey,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like romantasy has been around for a really long time. It just wasn't always called romantasy.
totally.
Agreed.
But I think what we're seeing now with the popularity of it is within romantasy, we get to see women be fully fledged people who get to sort of swing a sword and save the world while also having true love. So the fantasy of it in my mind is very much that women get to have it all.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
And I think that that really appeals to a lot of people.
No, I love that. And for me, I think with romantasy too, I always say like the romance is part of the escapism. I
Mhm.
think it's not just like the magic and the gods and everything, but it's also the romantic part of it. Which this has some of my personal favorite romantasy tropes, which is like, I don't know, enemies to lovers, like deadly games, like slow burn, like there's revenge, there's high stakes. And I'd love to know, what are your top 3 favorite tropes of all time? Like, does not have to be related to this book, but can be.
So hard.
I know it's hard to
Um,
pick. It's like picking favorite children or something. I'm like,
Okay, so like enemies to lovers, forced proximity.
of course.
Yes.
I feel like I should get a bonus because they go
Yeah.
together.
Of
Yeah,
course.
And
totally.
then female friendship is like a huge one for
Yes.
me, and found family. Like they're like my go-tos that I,
I love that. And I can see that in this book. I'm like, that makes sense. Those
That-
are the ingredients.
I mean, also I cannot even choose like some of my favorite tropes. Like all of them are like are here. Like they're juicy. Like I love when like Ty had like the helmet and it was like Primus and it was obvious that there was like tension and something like that.
Hot.
And then it ended up being revealed what it was revealed. Spoilers ahead. Just like let's just say like that like they had known each other from childhood and I was like geeking and giggling that he was so protective of her. I was wondering what was your favorite scene to write, or what was like something that like, or what's something that you're excited for readers to
So my
read?
favorite, probably I would say my favorite scene involves, without giving too much away, nearer to the end is Arvel is in the arena and a certain man is on his knees in front of her. After, she's just had this like awful experience, and that experience has kind of been a big part of her character arc and her friendship, right? And so this very public scene was my favorite to write for sure.
Yeah. Is there a scene that you're excited for readers to read, or
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so many, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one of them. I think I had a lot of fun writing the third challenge.
Yes.
And then the kind of around the midpoint where Arvel is like allying with someone she shouldn't, and trusting kind of the wrong person, and the fallout from that was fun to write as well.
I wanted to ask, how did you come up with the names for this? Because like I love the name Arvel.
That one was really strange. She was just always Arvel. Like I've had in the past, I've kind of written some people and then like changed their names, but she was just, and it's not a name that I've like feel like I've heard much.
No,
or if
like
at
I
all.
think this is my first time reading this.
It just
one.
came. It was very much that was just her
Wow,
name.
I
which
thought it was
weird.
like I could see it being like rooted in some kind of word, but I'm like, it's beautiful too. So she
Yeah.
just formed like Athena from Zeus's head, just like fully popped out. So I love that.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't always happen like
Yeah.
that, right? Like very often it's figuring things out.
Mhm.
So I'll
What
take
about
it.
any of the other characters' names having like fun origins, or just kind of like they came to your mind?
So
like,
I did lean into like ancient Roman names quite a bit, and I would take some of the names were like Roman last names that I used as first names. Some of them would be like inspired from ancient Rome, and then I would change some things up. Some of them just kind of came to me. I would just kind of hear it in my head. There is one that I think sometimes I do this with like my accent or just the way that things sound in my head. And then I realize, oh no, people are not going to read that the way that
The same way.
So like there's this character called Kaiso, but I know people are going to think his name's Queso. Like, and I'm like, well, I love Mexican food, but
Queso's good too.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And then I was wondering, like, do you have like a writing routine, or like, do you like wake up every morning and write and then like figure it out through the day, or like, also I wonder about the music for this one. Do you listen to something?
So
Fun.
I have to get started like first thing in the morning with the writing. If I let myself get derailed by email and admin, then I very much work on momentum. So if I haven't like hit the ground running, the rest of the day is pretty much useless. So I really have learned to sort of eat breakfast, get straight to it. That can mean that I end up sort of still writing all day, and then I have a lot of stuff that hasn't gotten done. But I'm lucky enough that I have a team that I work with that, you know, I've got a PA, I've got a business manager, and they know when I'm writing to only bring stuff that's really important, if, you know. For the music, sometimes I cannot listen to any music if I'm writing. And then other times it's really strange. I kind of go back and forth, but I do have playlists for these books. And so sometimes I'll like listen while I'm out for a walk to like the
Ooh.
playlist, and that'll kind of help me get in the mood or
Are they
like come up with
public?
something. No, but they can be. I need to share them.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no, I'm like,
okay.
I want to go listen
I'm
today.
going to
Like,
share them soon for sure, because yeah, the book 2 playlist I almost feel like is a bit spoilery right now, but the book 1 I can
okay.
share.
Okay, yay. I'm excited to listen.
So I would love to know. So what are you writing next? Are you working on something else, or are you working on the sequel?
So yeah, right now I am literally just about to give my editor the first draft of book 2, like probably
So
tomorrow or the next day.
juicy.
So that has been quite the undertaking. It's very long. And yeah, so when she gets that, she'll then start editing that, and I'll actually move on to book 2 in my Kingdom of Death series, which
Okay.
is follows a character from the Kingdom of Lies series. And so that I'll kind of work on that, and then I'll switch back. And then that book will come out in summer next year. So I'm kind of going back and forth right now.
Wow, I cannot imagine your brain. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how do you keep everything straight?
It really is. Like, I'm not someone, I know that some people can work on one project in the morning and one project in the after. I can't do anything like that. Like,
Okay.
if I switch, I have to fully switch, which makes things quite hard. The last quarter of last year, I was actually working on this book and the book 1 from that series. And that was tough because, it was sort of, I was editing one and writing the other. So then I could kind of, you know,
It's
Yeah.
a
work my
little
brain.
different parts of your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the sequel to We Who Will Die, is it longer than this one?
Yes. I mean, at least so far.
Ooh,
I mean,
okay.
this is the first
Yeah,
draft,
it could
right?
change. Yeah, totally.
But I would say it will probably be longer.
All right,
Wait,
juicy. I need
sorry, I
more.
want to know, do you know the ending, or are you still trying to figure
Yeah.
out as
No,
you
I've written
go?
the ending.
Was that something that you knew from the very beginning?
Yeah,
that you
so I'll
started?
typically know, because this is a trilogy, I'll typically know like how each book's going to end at the very minimum, right?
Mhm.
So I kind of had that scene in mind. Obviously things change as I'm
Mm.
writing, but it was fun to be able to write that and kind of adjust things and play with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering, does Laura know? Does your editor know? Have you told anyone how
I
it
don't
ends?
know. I think like I don't think she does. Like, I think because
Ooh.
I obviously give a bit of an outline and a
Mm-hmm.
synopsis, but I also stray so far from that as I'm writing. And honestly, she could be like, "This ending's not working," and then we'll figure something else out, right? Which is what's so great about working with an amazing editor, because they can kind of see the big picture. And I'm so
Mhm.
far in the weeds right now that I'm actually really looking forward to handing it over and not thinking about it for a little while, and then getting that professional feedback and being able to sort of see it as a whole.
Totally. Okay, I'm curious. If you were if you had one of the magic powers in this, would you be a vampire, a god, or a sigil marked, or a mundane?
Ooh. I mean, I would love to be a god. That sounds
Yeah,
pretty good.
yeah, that's a
But-
great answer.
But I mean, if I was actually in the world, I think I would want to be, I'm very against like the idea of, this is probably very Val coded, the idea of
Mhm.
like needing anything. So like with vampires, obviously they constantly need
Yeah,
blood.
exactly.
They have the sun weakness. So in a perfect world, I would be a gold crowned sigil marked.
Yeah, I feel like that would be my answer too,
Yeah.
especially because I love like elemental
Mhm.
like powers and stuff. So
I just love vampires too much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm like,
Michelle's
have
like,
to be-
I would be a
I'm like,
vampire.
you
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, if you're on the Vampire Council, then
Yeah,
like, you've got some power, right?
As you're
Yeah.
wearing an Edward Cullen shirt.
Yeah, like,
that
I was like, I'm
we
too
haven't
vampire
acknowledged
type.
this
Like-
whole time. For people who aren't watching, Michelle, what does your shirt say?
Careful, I bite.
All right. Well, when you're back for the next one, then I'll come with an Edward Cullen shirt.
I love it.
Or a Damon Salvatore shirt.
Ooh, Stefan Salvatore.
Wait, are you a Stefan girl?
I am a Damon.
Okay,
girl, but I love
alright.
Stefan. Yeah, but I love him. Also, I love Stefan when he can be bad, right? Like he can
Yeah.
like
When he turned off his emotions
bad.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Wait, we haven't talked about your inspiration. So, do you have any like favorite vampire shows or anything?
I definitely
like
love the
that?
Vampire Diaries.
Mhm.
I watched a little bit of the originals, really liked
Mhm.
that. Obviously Twilight back in the
Klaus,
day.
like,
Yeah, Klaus. Oh my god.
Klaus.
Oh,
But that
I was so
like
sad.
Claraline thing, I'm like,
Mhm.
what a bloody waste.
It had like the perfect love story.
Honestly.
Of like, I won't be your first love, but I'll be your last.
Right. Oh, such a
Don't get me
missed
started.
opportunity.
Yeah.
So, as you're now finishing up the second book, and now you're kind of like revisiting We Who Will Die, like as it's being released into the world, is there anything like you kind of hope readers will take away from this book?
I think it's a very brutal world, and there's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of bad things happening. I hope that people take away a bit of hope, honestly, because it is a book one that's a hard thing to ask for.
Mhm.
But I also just hope that they are like intrigued and looking for what's coming next.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
consider
looking-
us intrigued and excited for what's coming next.
Well, and I was wondering if you can tell us a secret about book
Ooh.
two.
I can. Do you want to know the title of book two?
Yes? What? I'm so
This is the
ready.
first time I'm announcing it anywhere. It's called We Who Will Rise.
We Will Rise. That's so good.
Oh my god. I am nervous and shocked, and I'm so excited. Like, can you
I
also,
got chills, and I'm
You heard
wearing
it
like
here.
a sweatshirt, and it's hot in here. I'm like, I still
can
got
you
chills.
give us a teaser of what's to come in book two?
We are going to see like things that the stakes are getting really high. A lot happens. I can tell you that much. We are seeing like interpersonal relationships change. We're seeing people find out that they're not who they thought they are. Obviously, there's a lot happening in the love aspect,
Mhm,
which I will just leave right there. So yeah, there's just a lot to come.
Will there be kissing?
There will definitely be
This is the
kissing.
most important question of all. Thank you, Michelle.
Will someone die?
Yes.
Oh, okay, now I'm scared.
I will tell you, I cried. And if I cry, typically readers will cry.
That is not a good
'cause-
sign, guys.
yeah,
I'm like shaking my boots. I have so many people who I
like,
love.
I know. Like, I don't want any of them to go.
So we already talked about Ravel. I want to know about the two brothers.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration? What is there to know? How did they came to you?
So I've always been really interested in second chances in like a lot of different ways,
Mhm.
right? And I'm with Tiernon, it was very much a case of like what happens when someone has not just abandoned, the person who loved them, but how much people change in that
Mhm.
time, right? Especially if you've gone through this horrendous trauma and you've changed who you are as a person. What does that mean when you see each other again and you're not the exact same people, right? Do you fall in love with that new person? Are you still searching for what used to be? Those were kind of the questions that I wanted to ask with him.
I love that.
I
'cause-
love that, and it was so great to see going back and forward, right? There's flashbacks and stuff like that, so we see him like lose so many things of himself and gain so many things back
Yeah.
and forward in their love. So I was wondering, like, can you tease us more about what's to come?
Yeah, so okay, let me think. I'm like trying not to be too
Too-
spoilery. I think we're really going to see them try and figure out again who they are as people and if they work, and how much someone can change and still like whether or not they can connect. And I think we're going to see a lot of outside influences and how that changes things as well. I'm trying not to be too spoilery.
That's okay. And I love how he's just a sim for her. Like he's
Yeah.
immediately like melts and is like anything you want, my like literally. So Wow, love him.
Well, we talked about the second chance romance, which sometimes I feel like second chance romance is like a little bit of a hit or miss for me, and I loved it in this. Like it was so good. So we talked about the second chance romance with Tiernon, but can we talk about the other brother? Can we talk about Rorik?
Sure. So funnily enough, he was never supposed to be a love interest. Like this was supposed to be a strictly second chance romance.
What? Wait, this is juicy.
Yeah. So I'd never written a second chance romance before, and I haven't seen it done a ton in romantasy recently. And I really just wanted to play in that sandbox. And so initially it was just that was the love story. It was supposed to just be because I'm actually not typically a love triangle girly. Like I haven't really written much of it. And it was very organic the way that happened. I actually listened to a song called I'll Be Good by, I think like James Young or something.
Ooh.
And that was all it took. And suddenly things changed a little bit. And we had a kind of new love interest sort of slide on in there a little bit.
So I'm curious, like when you started writing it, like did you know that Rorik was going to be a love interest at all?
No.
Or was it when they met on page that you're like, oh, there's something here?
Yeah,
Like,
they just had good chemistry. Honestly though, it really wasn't until later on in the book that like I had wanted to put him in a certain box to stay in.
he said no.
Literally, he was like, I will disembowel you. So it just wasn't happening, and I just had to kind of go with it.
Wow, I love that you leaned into that too, because it just made the story that much juicier and the romance like that much more organic. And like, yeah, people are so torn between which brother to pick.
Yeah. So we have Rorik's song, which is called I'll Be Good.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to it, so basically it means that like he's like an awful person, but he'll be good for her.
Kind of, yeah.
Woo!
All right.
Okay, I'll listen after. Do you have a song for Ty?
So the one that's most Thai coded is like very sad, and it's actually more like Arvel's song about Thai. And so there are two songs like at the beginning of my playlist that kind of as she sort of meets him again. And so it's LOML by Taylor Swift is that.
Yeah.
That's kind of, as the book opens, that's kind of where she is in her relationship with him.
That's
I love
very
that.
interesting.
I'm gonna listen to them today.
So also I wonder, since you mentioned that like it was not supposed to be a love triangle, like we do see Ty more at the beginning and then we see like more of Rorik at the end, and like we're interesting. Are we gonna see like more like equal
You're going to definitely see both.
on the sequel?
And it's been interesting trying to achieve what I'm trying to achieve, because I've just got 3 books and I'm trying to, you know, without giving too much away, I've got to achieve a lot of things. And so that's one of the reasons I think book 2 is quite long right now. We've got to figure out like what I'm doing there. But you're going to see a lot of both of them in book 2.
Well, I mean, romance is such a big, important part of this story. And so we always love to ask our guests who come in, what does romance mean to you?
I think it really means, and this is coming from someone very single currently, but for me, it really is about just finding the perfect person for you, right? Like I'm always really intrigued by looking at, you know, my friends' relationships and relationships I really admire, and seeing the way that they, you know, the strengths and weaknesses and how they kind of just work together and their personalities and opposites attract. Like I'm always really interested in that. And that's what I love about romance. You know, we really get to see it in these books as well.
I love it.
I absolutely love this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for being here.
And if people want to find you, where can they find you online?
So I'm on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Stacia Stark author and at author Stacia Stark. I have a Facebook group called Stark Society, and we're all in there kind of talking plots and books and all of that. And I've got a newsletter list, so you can find that at staciastark.com. Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Yay. Okay, well, everyone, thank you for listening. Go follow Stacia at all of those places. And then tune in to the next episode of The Book Was Hotter. All right. Love you. Bye.